This is a kind of propaganda against U.S. citizens. It's PSYOPs. Why would the government of Ontario? I'm told that they have spent or were planning to spend up to $75 million.
Oh no, because the US would never run a PSYOP, even though you literally invented the word. Pretty Rich accusing Canada of running a psychological operation just because Ontario ran this ad reminding Americans that their precious president bedtime for Bonzo thought tariffs were bad, actually. It's also extra ironic considering the only reason Scotty here is Secretary of the Treasury is because of multiple disinformation campaigns. Campaigns like immigrants are eating the dogs, Pizzagate, QAnon telling MAGA followers that President Jeff's buddy over here would expose all the billionaire sickos and lo and behold, protect them at every turn. So of course, Canada's banker daddy had to grovel in front of the mad king of the upside down with his elbows firmly glued to the floor because obviously, Donnie says, Ronald Reagan loved tariffs. And still, trade talks are off. But while we're on the topic of foreign influence, maybe we can talk about how 11 US billionaire-funded think tanks in the Atlas Network have had their tentacles around Canadian politics for decades. Free trade was their idea. Commodifying housing and selling mortgage-backed securities was their idea. Denying climate change was their idea, and allowing functional monopolies everywhere, even for necessities like groceries, was their idea. I could go on. And now at least one of those US billionaire-funded think tanks is actively pushing for Alberta separation if Canada doesn't reverse its tiny little steps it's made towards protecting the environment. And while the Premier of Alberta visits Mar-a-Lago and Alberta separatists bandy about US flags and talk about joining the US as Petro Puerto Rico, you have to wonder, if that isn't a PSYOP, what is? Go watch that video. The fact is, over the last 40 years, the US has led the construction of the largest wealth pump in human history, sucking money from the people who actually do the work to people like you, Scott, owner of a massive mansion in Miami that, if I were you, I would enjoy as much as I could before the increasingly hot and lifeless ocean drags it underwater. Because if your whole deal is to act like bratty children with nuclear weapons, then I get why you would be mad if you saw an ad reminding you that America, at least in theory, used to stand for something.